Okay, so now we looked at the mock-up. Let's look at some an actual partial implementation based on the Pinot search engine, which uses the Zapier document indexer. So this is the contents of my journal, which mostly consists of random stuff I've stuck there. You should be aware that this is the file system of a Unix hacker, and so it's got lots of crazy files and deep nested directories that a ordinary child would certainly not have. These xsource2 are kind of an implementation artifact right now. They're internal tags which Zapier is putting on these documents. I've left them in because it means that all my files actually have one tag, so it makes it a little bit more interesting to look at. Let's unfortunately, I don't think my where widget is actually hooked up yet. If I clicked on that to see the full file system, what would really happen under the hoods is I get some kind of search like that, which shows all the files in my file system, again in chronological order. And look, it looks like I've been working on the talk for the journal too, and some screenshots and whatnot. The interesting thing here, so here's a real directory structure. I can navigate through that using the sidebar. Again, this is sort of Unix hackery. Most people don't have quite the excess of directories that I'm showing here. Let's see, projects, and then it's in old PC. I'm just sort of selecting the directory that's got all the stuff I've worked on most recently. Git. And you notice that the list of tags is going away. This is very Gmail-like, but as I don't show the tags which are sort of specified in the search itself, so that you're not seeing redundant stuff. It's not cluttering up the interface. Right, so here's the stuff I've been working on most recently. And again, there's sidebars. I don't have the suggestions box implemented yet. It's in Zapier. I just haven't hooked it up yet. These are the tags I've got on the system. I don't think I've got any actual. Well, that section isn't quite working yet either. So that's real live view of my files in chronological order, sorted by date. If I back, these are all things I did yesterday. Let's see. Right. So I guess the key thing is, as I was clicking through these, and if I clicked on like a tag here, I don't have anything tagged with that right now. But as I click on those buttons, the search that I'm doing here shows up, so that kids can sort of learn how to write queries. The idea is, like Gmail, these parts here are actually localizable, so that if I'm in Spanish, the tag I use here isn't going to be the English word in, it's going to be something else. There's query syntax for the who, what, where, when. It would look like who, and this would be my nickname for that person. What would be either an application like the Pippi activity, where both of these parts are localized. This Pippi part is the localized name of my activity on my system, and what, of course, is the translation of that into my own language. And that searches for any document with a MIME type which Pippi advertises as being able to open. For the real graybeard hackers, you can also use a MIME type here, so I can search for that. That's the things in my journal again. Again, because most of my stuff isn't actually in my journal on this machine. This is all the images on my my local file system. Where you've already seen. The syntax is by default it's the journal. I can do where slash or some subdirectory to see basically the full file system view. Where colon some USB key name, disk 1, whatever the label on the USB key is, will search in as a sort of synonym for media slash disk 1 or whatever, however that's mounted on your system. So if I'm looking at a USB key, I'm going to see a search like that. And there's the not quite hooked up quite yet, but the idea is that in is actually a synonym for various where queries as well. So in foo says all the things labeled with foo. In foo/bar says the things which have foo/bar in their path. In /foo/bar is an absolute search for a rooted path name. I think. I'm not quite sure. I think I've been playing around with how that syntax. The other thing that I'd really like to see here is the display of this search to be very similar to the display of labels here. These things obviously should also be kind of rounded, and they are already colored like these. But the idea is, in what I've shown you so far, there's no good way to go back a level. You know, once I do this, you know, how do I go up? So there's a couple solutions. I could have a little arrow here or a special tag which means up. My preferred solution is actually to make the tags up here look like the tags, well, the tags as they should look here with these close buttons, so that I can go up a level by just clicking on the close button for, so I'm in projects. This thing looks just like that with a sort of de-emphasized slash in between, and I can click on the close button there in order to go back. Once I start editing it, of course, the sort of magic goes away, so I can edit normally. Although maybe the coloring still persists. In the best of all possible worlds, this highlight wouldn't be square; it would be rectangular when I'm editing a tag. The idea is that tag completion should also work here, so I should be able to press Tab and get, you know, the next component of the path. And that goes for tag suggestions too. So this should complete to the full GNOME demo, or whatever the name of the tag is on my system. And ideally, actually, if I just tab all alone, it would give me some suggestions for what I could do. Sort of like the Firefox Awesome Bar. It should sort of be always giving me good suggestions. So that's really what there is to see on the live demo. Now I'll show you some cool embedding tricks next.